We're ready. We're excited to compete here in the best conference tournament in the entire country. Having the ability, obviously, to play in Madison Square Garden, we haven't been able to play there this year. We played St. John's at Carnesecca Arena. Know our guys are really thrilled and excited to play there, the world's most famous arena. Butler is obviously the draw here on Wednesday. That's all we're thinking about. We're not thinking about the next rounds or winning the thing. We're taking this thing one game at a time, living right in the present. Butler is a team, I think Coach Jordan has them playing well. They've been in some close games here recently. Lost a heartbreaker to Providence in overtime. Lost a heartbreaker on the road at Marquette. Lost a heartbreaker at Seton Hall as well. We're obviously very familiar with them. We played them twice this year. And I told our guys, listen, those two games before, the 80 minutes that we played them, have nothing to do with the 40-minute war that we're about to embark on here on Wednesday at 4:30. They're obviously led by a senior, Aaron Thompson, who is a really, really good point guard. He's hurt us in both games, his ability to get to the paint. You know what he's going to do, but you got to stop him from doing it. He creates for others. He can score as well. He's a tremendous defensive player. And then you have Chuck Harris, who he's a bucket getter. He can just really score the ball. He can score at all three levels, mid-range threes and at the rim. Then they got Bo Hodges, who he did not play in game one at Hinkle, but game two he did play here. He's another guy that can score the ball, and he's athletic. He gives him a 6'6" wing that can do a lot of different things. And then they got Golden and Enzi inside, so they have a ton of experience. They're well coached. They're good defensively. They're physical. So we have to embrace that physicality in this game in order to win it. Value the ball, win the war on the glass, and then we have to be able to guard the ball. They got some very talented one-on-one players like I was talking about with Aaron Thompson and Chuck Harris, Jaden Taylor, who's a freshman, Bo Hodges. Really have to guard the ball and be able to really keep that floor tight.
Travis, the other night after the Georgetown game, you used the word fate when talking about this matchup with Butler. And I'm wondering, you said that you obviously remember and you can remember the feeling in your stomach after that game last year in the first round. How much do you think your guys feel that same way that you feel about this game, that a game that I think you had a 17-point lead in and it slipped away?
Yeah. I said it to our guys, listen, the 40 minutes previous to this year aren't going to impact at all this game on Wednesday. Same thing last year. It's a completely different team. They have a different team as well. But you don't ever forget that feeling, right? The finality of the season, how it ended, it was a tough one to take. So hopefully it motivates our guys, right? Anything you can do to motivate our guys at this point in the year. And we obviously have a lot to play for, right? A lot of meaningful games here in March. So, we shouldn't have to use that just as motivation, but if we can use that as extra motivation, Adam, we absolutely will.
And I think the last time you played Butler, you said something to the effect of they like to play the two big guys together, but have they kind of gotten away from that a little bit as the season has gone on, or is that still a dominant look for them?
They do a little bit of both. They've tightened up their rotation to a degree. They're playing really kind of 7.5 guys, maybe really 7 guys. So they'll play Enzi and Golden. They start those guys together. And they're both physical, and they're both skilled, and they're really good players. So at times they'll play big, and at times they'll put either a Bo Hodges or a Simas Lukosius, at the 4 as well, a guy who's like 6'6", 6'7", but is way more of a perimeter player, right? Not nearly like a back-to-the-basket guy. So I think you'll see a little bit of both. And I think probably the question you maybe are alluding to here is, can we play two bigs together, right, with Zach and Jack? And I think the answer is yes. I think hopefully we can do it as much as possible. But at the same time, the small lineups worked really well for us as well here as of recent. And, getting Nate back out there allows us to be able to do that, have another guard to be able to play that way.
And your two big man lineup, is it almost contingent upon Zach being able to defend? It seems like the games where you have success playing Jack and Zach together are games where Zach really brings it on the defensive end. And the games where you end up going small or Zach doesn't play as much are the games where Zach struggles defensively.
Yeah, I don't want to put it solely on Zach. But obviously we have to be better on the defensive end when we play two bigs. I think sometimes if you look at our 3-point field goal percentage defense when we play two bigs, it gets worse, right? And when you play some of the teams here as of recent that we played, right? Some games are better matchups to play bigs than others, right? It's just the way the game works. But we need Zach to be good on the defensively, especially on the perimeter. Can't eat threes. Got to be in the right position. Got to be there on the catch. I think that's critically important. If he does that, listen, he's got good feet. He's got good enough feet to guard a lot of guards in our league, in my opinion. It's just being there on the catch and not playing 5 feet off. And I mentioned that before, because if you look at Zach, really traditionally his entire life he's guarded fives, right? And he's made that transition kind of midway through this year without any reps of playing the 4. And it's been a work in progress for him. But I got confidence that Zach will be able to we'll be able to play two bigs in this game.
Travis, the goal of any team obviously is to, to play better in March than you played in November, to build hopefully to peak this time of year. What do you think has held this team back from doing that?
Yeah, I think the defensive end, Doc. Like other than last game, Georgetown, we graded out 70% plus would be very good. We were 70% against Georgetown. Now, we didn't reach our goal of 7 kills, though, either. 7 kills was getting 3 stops in a row. That equals 1 kill. We got 6 kills. And I think we have to be committed to getting 7 kills, but then how do you get to those 7 kills, right, is the question. And that's by executing our defensive system. We don't really change game to game. We don't. We are who we are. We'll make little adjustments depending upon personnel and stuff like that. But, our transition defense is the same today as it was back in November. No change. And again, I think just being committed to that end, that's what's going to be key for us here moving forward as well.
Conventional wisdom would have it that we maybe place too much emphasis on March Madness in terms of defining coaches, players, seasons, what have you. Do you agree with that? Do we overemphasize? Can one great weekend kind of outweigh all the rest of the year, and is that necessarily fair?
Whether it's fair or not probably isn't for me to answer, Doc, but I do know that that's how it is in this business. It's just a reality, right? It's what we all work for. Again, I've been in several years where maybe we haven't done as well in the regular season here since I've been at Xavier. And then all of a sudden we make a run, and then everybody forgets what happened during the regular season, whether we lost 6 games in a row, 7 games, 5 out of 7. People remember how you finish. And that's been my message to our team is, listen, we still can dictate where we go. We don't need any help. And that's the good thing for us is being in the position we are, because every game's valuable in the Big East, right? Every win's a good win. Every win counts a lot. So, this is the best time of the year. Listen, this is what we work for. This is what our guys, you think about last spring, we're waking up at 6 a.m. This is the goal, right? Summer, the entire summer, you wake up, lift, condition, skill workouts, extra shots in the gym. Fall, you go through the whole year. Our guys put a lot of work in for these type of moments.
What would you say to the faithful here, to the flock, that this is a new lease on life, in essence, for this team, and that you will respond to that new lease on life by taking full advantage of it?
Yeah, our guys are working hard. Listen, our guys are working really hard. They're staying positive. Obviously, our sole focus is on one thing, like I said, and that is beating Butler. That's all that matters. That's all we can control. We can't control what happens next or what happened in the past. We can only control what we do today at practice from 2:30 here to 4:30 or however long it is, probably a lot shorter than that. But my point is, how are we preparing today? Are we preparing the right way? We're getting ourselves ready for that 40-minute war against Butler on Wednesday at 4:30.
Travis, there was a long stretch this year where a lot of the questions we asked you about Colbey were, maybe why isn't he being more aggressive or why is he not working to find his shot? And it seems like he may have turned a corner in that regard. I think I looked it up before earlier today. The last 5 games, 5 straight double-digit performances. I think he's averaging almost 15 points a game in the last 5 games. Was there a conversation there, or do you think that he just feels better about it right now, the way he's been attacking.
He was going through that patch, Adam, where I thought he was easy to guard. Just wasn't. He didn't look at the rim. And again, confidence, I've said this before, is the most powerful drug in the world, man. It's incredible what one shot, one game can do for you, right? And for Colbey, I looked at his shooting percentage, and I said, man, he's a way better shooter than what he's been shooting. I mean, he was shooting, I want to say, he was like 4 of, I don't want to give you wrong information here, but 4, it was a low percentage, let's put it that way. It was like 10% in Big East play from 3. I was like, man, he's so much better than that. I brought him up to the office and I said, hey, listen, man, like you just have to play with swagger. You're a really good player, really good. Act like it, show it. That's not gloating. It's like you've earned that right. He's earned it, and he had an incredible non-conference, as we all know. And it's like, man, I said, but the only person who's gonna, if you don't believe in yourself that you're that guy, nobody else will. You have to walk on the floor like you are the baddest dude on the floor every single game. And I think, I showed him some film, some good stuff too that he's done. And I think he has responded really well to it. He's gotten more aggressive. He's picked his spots. I don't think he's taken bad shots, though, Adam, even though he's being more aggressive. He's rebounding. He's defending. He's playmaking. I think he had, I don't know how many assists he had last game, but he had several assists, maybe 7 assists last game. He's playing at a very, very, very high level. He's playing his best basketball of the year right now. Because one could say, okay, well, non-conference, those opponents don't know you as well, right? And the level of play isn't probably as good as it is here in the Big East. I mean, every game is really, really, really hard, right? And it's a marathon, and you got to be able to stick with it. And I'm proud of him that he's been able to turn it here late in the season, especially down the stretch. We need him to play at a high level.
Looking at the last few games for Butler, it seems like they're really getting hammered from the three-point line. I mean, they're giving up a lot of threes, and defensively they haven't been all that sharp. How does that figure into the game plan?
Yeah, Andy, I would tell you it's kind of game to game. If you look like St. John's, we've seen that firsthand. Listen, they got hot against Butler. I mean, they beat Butler by about 45, right? And they can do it real quick. They're one of those teams. Villanova was the same way, but if you look at what they did to Marquette, who I think Marquette's a phenomenal offensive team, Marquette couldn't score. They really struggled. Seton Hall did as well, who's I think a really talented team. And they had opportunities to win at Marquette on the road and at Seton Hall on the road. They were right there in the last minute of the game where it could have went either way. And they're a team, though, Andy, they're gonna be high ball pressure. You think of Aaron Thompson, like he guarded Nate in game 2, and he basically treated Nate like he used his dribble. Like he smelled Nate's breath everywhere Nate went. And then you have Bo Hodges, who's athletic as well, who can really pressure the ball. But they're a team that when you drive the ball, they're going to go all in on your drive and really try to, we call it rake at your ball. They kind of try to take your ball in their gap. They're tight. So what they can do, if you make the right play and you kick it out and you make a one more pass, you're going to get a really good shot from 3. But teams that try to fight that and try to drive it on the first side, it's going to lead to turnovers and bad shots, right? If you got to move Butler and then you got to drive them, then you got to make the right play. But I think that's what's been happening. Teams have been kind of driving and kicking a lot more against them and having a lot of success.
You have access to all the analytics. Are you at the same spot this year as you were last year going to this Butler game? Does that make any difference? Or
As far as, Andy, give me
NCAA, whatever.
Yeah. I have no idea, Andy. And I let Mario and all those guys, administrative for us, deal with all that stuff, man. I just focus on one thing and one thing only. Now I'm focused on Butler. How do we beat Butler? Again, like I said, game 2, you can throw that out the window. Game 1, throw that right out the window. I hate the adage, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. That's a bunch of baloney. It's about that 40 minutes, who's the tougher team, who's the more together team, who can execute their game plan better. That's all I'm focused on.
How about your lead up to the game? You're leaving, early tomorrow, and then
Yeah, so we're leaving earlier tomorrow than normal just due to traffic. Obviously in New York, I want to make sure we get there because it's a 4:30 tip on Wednesday. So we're leaving a little bit earlier. So we'll practice when we get there to New York. we're not allowed to practice in Madison Square Garden, but we have another gym. I think we're practicing at Columbia University.
Do you have any access to MSG before Wednesday morning?
They do not give you access, so we'll be able to shoot around, obviously, how much ever time they give us leading up to the game, whether it's in 45 minutes, I don't know what it is, but yeah, they'll give us that amount of time.
So, yeah, your first game out of the chute there, so maybe you get some more time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
What do you anticipate your nerves will be like Sunday night at 6 o'clock or whatever?
Oh, man. Doc, if we win in tomorrow or on Wednesday, then I'll feel really good. Again, we work our tails off, staff, players, for these moments. Obviously, that's a huge day, Doc. But again, like my whole focus, man, if we take care of business on Wednesday, then I think the results will speak for themselves on Sunday.
Krzyzewski made a point of praising Tom Butters. The big reason being Tom had patience. Mike was 11 and 17 or whatever in his third year. Do we live at a time when patience like that is unreasonable these days? And how do you have any thoughts at all philosophically on how long any coach should be given to establish something, his program, before the rug gets pulled on him or he gets extended or whatever the case might be?
Yeah, Doc, I think in generalities, it's hard for me to sit here and say. I really don't. I mean, you could pull from a lot of different people. You got Coach K, and who maybe, what was he, 11 to 17, you said, in year 3. Then you got another guy who maybe crushed it in year 2. And then, listen, every situation's different. Every situation's different. And I don't think you can say, hey, this is how it's done, right? Every school's different. Every situation's different. Every coach is a little bit different. So you want to build sustainable success, and I think that's important. Off the court and on the court. You got to be able to build both. And I do think that takes time to do it the right way and do it with the right people. There's no shortcuts to do that. Some people will take shortcuts, but then that doesn't lead to sustainable success.